Hey everyone, it's Joric. Welcome back. Hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. I had a group of people. There are, I think, 8 people right now, 5 from Canada and 3 from the US that are traveling throughout Portugal. They're spending 4 to 6 weeks there to be able to do some scouting and figure out where they want to live. And collectively, they sent emails, and the common theme of the emails, could you just give us an overview or discuss crime as it relates to Portugal? And I said, well, I responded back, there's not much to speak of, but I will make a video about it. And I want to make sure that at the top here, because whenever I make these videos, I always get pushback going, well, it's far less than Detroit, Michigan in the US. Well, my channel isn't about Detroit, Michigan or the United States. It's about Portugal, and people get very testy and thin-skinned about this. But there is crime in Portugal. It does happen. It happens in every country. And what I wanted to do is just reassure people that are moving there, compared to the United States and many other countries, Portugal, the crime is minimal. And as we're going to go into it here, the types of crimes that happen are not necessarily major or what would be considered violent crimes. Some of these are, but not all of them. I guess in some cases here, as I'm trying to classify these in my mind, and this is American mindset, some of these are more misdemeanor type of crimes versus felony crimes. I apologize because other countries have other names for lighter crimes or more major. But let's get into it here. Let's talk through what goes on. So the first graphic that I'm going to put up here is just talking about over the last 5 years. So making this video 2019 to 2024, what are the top 10 crimes that have been committed throughout Portugal and that have been reported? And this is information that comes from the government or the police. So this is where this comes from. Is that if you're looking at here, okay, burglaries, a little less than 5%. And then credit card fraud or mishandling a credit card, almost 6%. Theft of unattended items, so that's 6.5% almost. Driving without a license, that may be something that is a surprise, but people that don't have license or they have expired license and they're driving, it's a big number, to be honest. Making threats or coercive actions, almost 9.5% of the crimes have been there. Fraud, and a little over 11.5% right now. Computer and telecom, so that is sending you like a phishing email, and then you take the bait and then you give them your information and then they have you. Next up, at the same amount, vehicle theft, 11.4%. So that's something that might be a little more major depending on what country you're coming from as a crime. And then from there, simple assaults jump up to 13.6% of the overall crime reported in Portugal. And then just a tick above that, 13.7%, is DUIs. So driving under the influence, that comes up. And then the most prevalent in the last 10 years is domestic violence, a little below 15%. But when you read articles online, and I've seen several news debates when we were living there, that is an issue and a concern in Portugal that they continue to try to work on to try to get that number down every year and have less domestic violence take place. So you may be asking, okay, so this is a percentage of things, but how many things are we talking about? And I want to make sure that we're looking at this. Portugal is the size of like almost metropolitan Los Angeles. It's like 10.2 million people, give or take, and we're talking about mainland and the Azores and Madeira. So that's it from the population. So if you're looking at this, I just wanted to go through some of the numbers that Portugal published. So domestic violence, 26,000 incidents took place. Driving, the DUI, 24,000 incidents. Simple assault, 24,000 as well, a little less. Motor vehicle theft, 20,000. Computer and phone telecommunication fraud, 20,000 as well. Threats and coercion, 16,000, well, not 16,006. Driving without a license, 15,000, a little over 15,500 incidents of this. Theft of unattended items, a little over 11,000. Misuse of payment cards and data, so credit card fraud, a little over 10,000 incidents over this 5-year period. And burglary in a commercial or an industrial facility, a little over 8,200 incidents. So those are the top crimes. And I want to be cautious and be forthcoming about this. So people will say, is there homicide? Is there murder in Portugal? Yes, there is. And yes, often it's done by gun. So that's something that but it's exceedingly rare. It's very rare. And most of the stats that I'm showing you, the majority of Portugal, the crime is going down. The only place where crime in many of these areas is going up is in Lisbon. It's the #1 spot for people to move to from all over the place. So when I make immigrant videos, when I talk about all of us that have moved there, live there, Lisbon's the #1 destination. It's got the most amount of people, so statistically, it's going to have more stuff happen. And I want to also be careful when I say Lisbon, I don't just mean the city center or the tourist section that you go to. I kind of want to take and do a half hour all the way around the city center. So a half moon or a half arc above, or a rainbow above Lisbon. So the outlying areas and suburbs, there can be some sketchiness. And then also across the river on the south side of the Tagus, that area too. So I'll say like an upside down, like a happy face, if you will. There's some areas there that can have more crime than not. But Lisbon is an area where you are receiving more incidents of crime, but it's expected because most of the people that are moving to Portugal are going there. So it's a numbers thing more than criminals are moving to Lisbon. That's not the case at all. But I wanted to make sure that you had this information because I know that this comes up and people get worried, or sometimes someone will say it's super safe, there's no crime, it's completely no issues ever. That's disingenuous, I think. There is crime. As you can see here, it seems like a number of the crimes are maybe a little lesser, although some of these are more financial crimes than, let's say, person-to-person crimes like assault. So this is what happens in Portugal, and I will every couple of years kind of make an update. I'll do maybe 2020 to 2025 as newer data comes in. This is the most information that we have through 2024, but it should show and illustrate that Portugal, regardless of where you live, even Lisbon, it's very safe. It's a place that you can go and vacation and tour around, and you would be dealing with the same types of potential threats as you would in any other major city if you're going to Lisbon, Paris, London, Munich, Rome. Pickpocketing, things of that nature are more common for sure, but you're looking at major crime compared to, let's say, United States or other countries that may have a more violent criminal past. It's something that you almost get desensitized because so little goes on that you don't really think about it. And it's not in the newspaper every day. It's not on television every day. You're just not exposed to it. Now, when you walk around, if you're in a small town, probably not. But if you're in Lisbon, Porto, along the Algarve, maybe Funchal and Madeira, you're going to see a lot of police. And we often saw police walking in our neighborhood, in cars. So there's a police presence, which I think helped keep crime to a minimum. And I would also say, and I'm speaking strictly about the Portuguese, and maybe the mindset is not one to like take someone else's property. I'm not saying it never happens, and I'm not saying that all these incidents are immigrant related, because someone will jump to that conclusion. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is it just seems like there's more of a laid back nature. So where I'm going with this is, if you're in a snack bar, a Tosca, little having lunch, and you drop your wallet or you leave your purse, there's a good chance that it's still on the floor or still on the chair if you walk a few blocks and go, gosh, I forgot, and walked back. Or it was given to the shop owner or the restaurateur to give to you. That's more likely. Now, I will say, if you're in a high population or high tourist area, I would say if a Portuguese person is more likely to pick that up, you'll get it returned to you. If it's a non-Portuguese person, I can't necessarily say that that's going to happen. But we've had people that have left their wallets at restaurants, or they left a credit card someplace. Some people have left backpacks, and they had all of their ID, their passport, money, their clothing, things like that. Never had an issue. So I can't say it never happens. Just of the people, that small sample size, of course, they didn't have any issues and they felt very comfortable about it. So I wanted to make this video because several people have asked for it, but it's also to illustrate how safe it is compared to so many other places, which is one of the major reasons why people want to move there. So as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. Enjoy your travels.